This video is not targeted at, aimed to, or made for children in any way. This video also does not contain any children, and this video may contain adult language. Alright, let's start with prepping the canvas board. Going to use some Liquitex blending medium. Yeah, put that down first. Spread that around. This helps the paint from drying right away, like acrylic would do. It keeps it nice and wet and blendable, just like the thing says. And we're going to add titanium white. A lot of people use gesso and this and that and all kinds of things. I just put some blended medium down and a titanium white, and that's how I prep my surface. And yes, this is a canvas board. It's not a stretch canvas. It is a flat piece. I prefer it because when I do the detail work, I like the smoother surface, and they're fairly inexpensive. And while I'm learning and not going crazy, I like these. I did try the regular stretch canvas. They're okay, but it's a little bit more textured, and you can see that. Now I'm going to go in with the phthalo blue. Now, some people said that they wanted to see what I did in real time, so there's not a lot of this actual real time stuff, but just to show you exactly how long it takes as compared to what you see on the time lapse. But yeah, gonna lay some blue down, kind of dab it here and there in some spots, and then gonna take the brush and I'm just gonna start blending it out, basically. It'll stay kind of blue at the top, and as you go down, it mixes with the white that I put on there and that blending medium, and it blends it out, and it automatically just blends the blue out into a lighter blue automatically. Instead of putting a dark blue and then light and then putting, making it lighter, just do it this way, and boom, there we go, back into the time lapse. As you can see, it takes a little bit longer than it looks like when you do these time lapses, but there you can see how it did it, how it blended it out. Now we have phthalo green. I'm going to mix the green with the blue with a palette knife, because we're ready to put the things in the far background, and we want cool colors for the back because it pushes them back, and the cool colors are blues and greens, where warm colors are the reds, the yellows, oranges, stuff like that. But anyway, so I'm gonna lay some things in, and again, here you go, this is real time. See how nice and slow this is and how long it takes. Now I mixed it up. I'm gonna put a little dab on here just to see if it's what I want, if I need to mix it again or not. But yeah, so this is real time, and then I go into the the time lapse, because yeah, this takes a long time, mixing paints and cleaning brushes and everything in between. So here we go, boom. So basically what I'm doing, I'm just laying in some mountain shapes in the background, and it is again green with some blues mixed into it. Let's see, went from the time lapse. This is what it looks like in real time. La 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 la. Yeah, it takes a while. And again, I'm not really used to using a palette knife. I'm a more detailed oriented person, so I use brushes and things like that. But yeah, so Here we go again, back into the time lapse. So just laying in some mountain shapes, and the blue and mixed with the green pushes it back and sends it way back into the background. Now I usually don't do this palette knife method with the texture and everything, but I wanted to try it, and it's fun and it has its applications, and I will do it again sometime. But I did find out that it's hard to make straight lines and do detail with all these bumps and ridges. Laying in some more blue over on the one side, making the blue pop to push it back even a little bit further. It still has the green in it, but you can see the blue, but I'll mix some greens in with it. Now I'm using a nice flat brush. I'm just cleaning up the edges and throwing in some highlights and such, because with the palette knife it was a little rough because I'm not used to doing it, so I just took this flat brush and now I'm putting some highlights in, and I switched to a round brush and I'm mixing the green, made it a little bit darker, got rid of the blue, a little bit of blue but not as much. It's mostly the phthalo green with a touch of blue, and just dropping in some trees, a little tree line in front of the mountains. Again, more green, less blue, which brings it a little bit closer but still keeps it in the background. Now I added a little yellow ochre to the green, and that put some highlights on. There's the yellow ochre. I'm going to put that down, and I'm going to mix that with some green and put a touch of titanium white in, and I'm going to kind of load the brush with the yellow ochre and the green to kind of like this is real time, to sporadically put this field in, so it's not all green and then I'm going to go back in with the yellow ochre, or it's not all yellow and I'm going to go in with the green. It's kind of mixed in there so it looks, like it's all mixed together. I found this worked pretty good with this big round brush. As you can see, it's green, but you can see the hints of the yellow ochre here and there. It'll all make sense in a bit. As you can see, the light's catching those mountains way different from this angle in the real time because of the way the light's hitting it. And that's what happens when you use the palette knife and you put the texture. Depends on how the light hits it, what you see, the way the light dances off of those ridges. It is a pretty interesting technique, which I will be playing with more. And here we go. We're going to go back to the time lapse. There's that yellow ochre and the green. You can see the yellow, and it kind of fades off, but it'll make sense again in a minute here. I added a touch of a red, just a little bit, to the yellow ochre. That pushes it forward because that's a warmer color, so that'll bring it more to the foreground as I got up close. Now I'm using a fan brush. I'm taking that yellow ochre and I'm going ahead right along that tree line there at the base of the tree line to define the field from the tree line. I added some lemon yellow, which is a really, really bright yellow, and I'm going over that, mixing it with the yellow ochre a little bit, just to lighten it up. So you got the green, you got the yellow ochre, and then you have the mix of the lemon yellow and the yellow ochre on. Now I'm mixing again a little bit more of the blue in with the green and putting some highlights and some tree in the trees, leaving some of them really dark, pushing them back, and the other ones in the foreground. Now while I got this blue and green going on in the blues, I'm going to go ahead and I mixed up some blue And I'm doing some darks and highlights and everything on the mountains. Basically just kind of scrubbing over and letting the paint hit those, grab those high parts while keeping in mind where the sun is going to hit. In this one, the light source is if it was coming over my right shoulder, not from just the direct right of the painting, but like going from over my right shoulder onto the page, and you'll be able to tell. Now we're going to drop in some it's the yellow ochre again. And I dropped in some flowers. And as I see things, I just go, let me add this while I got it. Now we're throwing some stems and things in the foreground, which I mixed the green with some white and yellows to get a light green. Now I'm going back onto yellow ochre and I'm dotting in the indication of flowers all over this field. Just a giant field of flowers. And I said that it kind of makes sense why I was doing the green and the yellow ochre, kind of combining it. So now you can kind of see where I'm going with it. There's some more of that light green color. We're gonna throw in some stems and things for some foreground action. That's right, getting ready to do some foreground action. And as you can see, as you're looking at it, you can see the mountain. It's kind of pushed back. You can see the tree line in front of it. And as we get closer and closer, the colors get just a little bit warmer, which brings it out into your face. All right, now we're going to put flowers. I'm going to start with the base color and shape. Just kind of block it in right up here in your face. You're looking at these flowers, past the flowers, on off into the distance. This is the yellow ochre that I use throughout the field. I'm laying that down first in the some general shapes, and then we'll go in with all kinds of different things and make it look better. All right, now I got the fan brush out, and I'm just dabbling some more of the yellow ochre around here and there. More indication of flowers throughout the field. And then I'm going to go in with the lemon yellow and do the same thing. So the sun's catching some and not some, so there's different colors of the yellow. The darker yellow ochre is the ones that are kind of in the shade, not catching as much light. And the lemon yellow ones is the ones that are grabbing that sunlight. Now I'm going to go over the big foreground flowers with some of that lemon yellow. And you can see it's a nice bright yellow. And we're just going to kind of go over it all. Let that yellow ochre kind of show through a little bit. I thinned it down a little bit, the lemon yellow, so the yellow ochre you can kind of see through it, see it through the lemon yellow. And then I'll go around the edges and really lay the highlights in. Now we're going to go ahead and put the centers in. Get a little liner brush, start putting some little dots in where you can see the centers of the flowers. Do the backs of the flowers. Put some shadows in, indications of petals, little divides between the petals. But yeah, now we're just going to start adding some of that detail, since these are up close and you can see them, whereas everything else in the background that I pushed back into the back, there's no detail in all that. So the more detail you put in these front ones, the more it brings them up into your face, and the warm colors that you choose and keep those cool colors in the back, everything will work out pretty good to your advantage. And this is where I was finding that using the really loading the paint on with the brushes, like pouncing it on there really thick, and using the palette knives. When I'm trying to do all this small stuff and draw little straight lines and stuff, it just doesn't happen. It's really hard. So I found out for the small detail that yes, the finer, smoother it is, the better. So I just keep going back and forth with the yellow ochre, and I put a little bit of brown in it, and I put a little bit of the lemon yellow in it and get different tones for these flowers. And think about where the sun's going to hit and brighten that up a bit. And then I'll put some dark stuff in for shadows. Now we're going to go back in and we're going to go hit those trees up. Pull them just a little bit further into the foreground so they don't blend in as much with the mountains. More of a differentiation between the colors. Because the blue-green was just a little too similar. I still have some dark ones that you can see that pushes them in the back. But just that little bit of highlight, and where the sun's kissing the tops of them and the fronts of others, it pulls them forward just enough so they don't look like they're blended into the mountain. And I'm going to head with some violet and kind of put that into the sky. Wanted it just liven it up and do something. A little more phthalo blue across the top. And we're going to blend. This is actually a makeup brush. 2 size makeup brushes, and blend out a little bit. And now I'm going to go in and I'm going to take that violet color that I blended out, and I'm going to put that back in, but more like in cloud-like shapes to give it like a nice little violety blue sky. Now we're going to drop in some shadows on these mountains. Here we go. We're going to do some real time. See, this is how long it takes to drop that little stuff in. Drop it in. Go over and reload the brush. Mix some more paint. Yeah, this is how what I go through. And it's hours and hours and hours. But you throw up a little time lapse and boom, it's done in no time. But as you can see, again, like I said, the way the light hits it from this angle, it looks totally different. When we get that back to the time lapse, that head-on angle, it looks way different the way the light's hitting it. All those little ridges and things on these mountains. Yeah, even the sky looks different from this angle. And here we go, back to time lapse. Boom. It's pretty much the same thing all over again, what you just saw me do, but fast. There, brought those mountains to life. Got those trees, brought them to life. Our field's pretty much set. Now let's just work on getting these flowers all detailed out. Put some little leaves and stuff And those little fuzzy nubs that are on the stalks. Pop some of them in. And we gotta go back and touch up these stems. Get the edge that the sun's not hitting. Fix that one flower that's actually turned away from us, where you can see the stem going up into the back of the flower. Over there on the far left. So yeah, now I'm working with the different greens. Detailing out. Taking light source into consideration. Then I decided I need some little buds. Got a bunch of flowers, but I don't have any buds. So let me throw some little buds in here. So I grabbed that yellow ochre and popped some bud shapes down. And I got the phthalo green. And I put some stems and some little leaf things at the bottom of the buds. And then I'll lighten up that phthalo green with white, with the titanium white and a little bit of yellow and everything until I get through about 3 or 4 different tones of that green. And make things look the way I want to. Now I'm going in with some of the yellow ochre thinned down and with a touch of lemon yellow in it. Dropping in some shapes, some shadows. And I will come back in with the lemon yellow again with the whites and everything and hit it up. Because I have to go over those buds that I put in and hit all those highlights on those too. But yeah, now I'm working on the petals of the flowers. Some are facing us, some are facing up, some are facing away. It's all about these things in the foreground. If everything in the background is a little bit fuzzy and out of focus per se, then that makes it look all the better. Because it does draw your eye to the front. It makes it look like you're looking almost through a camera lens. You know how it kind of focuses on that foreground and makes everything in the background a little bit fuzzy. I went over to the right side here and dropped in some little browns just to pop in some centers, and then I just drew some flower petals around them, but made them small and kind of fuzzy, like they're not as in focus. It's pretty much all about finishing up right now. I believe we're about done. Yeah, just popping some more of that lemon yellow in with the fan brush, and there it is. Ta-da! And this is I call it a beginner painting. I'm still new at this, still learning, but there you go. Wasn't too bad. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed doing this one. It turned out pretty good. So thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for some more.
What we do here is go back.